Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into 7 motorcycles that have become practically worthless in 2025. Number 7. BMW R18. The BMW R18 launched with big ambitions, aiming to compete with Harley and Indian in the heavyweight cruiser category. But here in 2025, it's less of a serious contender and more of an overpriced display piece. With a starting price close to $17,000, you're shelling out luxury money for a bike that provides more frustration than excitement. First off, it's massive, unnecessarily massive. Tipping the scales at over 750 pounds, it's a wrestling match at every stoplight. If you don't have the leg strength of a powerlifter, maneuvering at low speeds feels like navigating a yacht through a parking lot. BMW's famous Boxer engine? Sure, it makes power, but it also shakes like a washing machine stuck on spin cycle. And let's talk about the heat. Good luck riding this in summer without roasting your legs. Then there's the riding position. It may look cool, but after an hour, your back will be staging a full-on protest. The shaft drive just adds weight and complexity, while the limited cornering clearance means you'll be scraping pegs way too often. And let's not forget dealer support. While Harley and Indian have service centers everywhere, tracking down a BMW dealership when something breaks feels like searching for a unicorn. At the end of the day, the R18 is a $17,000 reminder that German engineering doesn't always belong in the cruiser market. You're better off with an American V-twin that holds its value, has solid dealer support, and doesn't require a gym membership to ride. This one's headed straight for the clearance section. Number 6. Harley-Davidson Sportster. It's the Harley-Davidson Sportster S in 2025? Yeah, that's a no-go. This bike was supposed to be a game changer, but instead, it turned into a $16,000 lesson in regret. For starters, it tries so hard to embrace modern tech that it completely lost what made the Sportster special to begin with. It packs a fancy 1250cc engine, but Harley went overboard with ride-by-wire and electronic restrictions, draining the character right out of it. You're forking over premium Harley money, yet the bike itself doesn't even feel like a true Harley. It looks like a set of oversized bratwursts and roasts your right leg like a Thanksgiving turkey. Comfort-wise, don't expect much. The seat is about as forgiving as a wooden bench, and the riding position ensures your back and wrists start protesting within 20 miles. For a bike that calls itself a performance cruiser, it handles about as well as a gym bro who skips leg day. Quick in a straight line, but wobbly in the corners. You'd think a modern Sportster would be practical, but nope. The fuel range is laughable at barely 100 miles per tank. And storage? There's less room here than in a pair of skinny jeans. At this price point, you could easily grab a used Low Rider S, an Indian Scout, or pretty much anything that won't make you question your decisions at every gas stop. The Sportster S isn't just expensive. It's overpriced for what little it delivers. If you want a bike that looks cool on Instagram but makes no sense in real life, go for it. Otherwise, save your money and your sanity. Number 5. Yamaha Bolt. The Yamaha Bolt makes you wonder if Yamaha even checked the calendar before rolling it out again in 2025. It's a throwback to an era when air-cooled cruisers were cool, but now it feels like showing up to a Tesla showroom with a flip phone. At $9,000, it still commands a premium price, yet it barely keeps up with modern standards. No traction control, no ride modes, and let's not even talk about the suspension. It feels like Yamaha borrowed inspiration from an old wooden roller coaster. On paper, its 942cc V-twin sounds decent, but in reality, it's a sluggish dinosaur. Compared to similarly priced bikes, it makes just 65 horsepower, and while the torque is decent, it doesn't make up for the outdated 5-speed transmission. Yes, 5. Even budget commuter bikes get 6 gears, but Yamaha still thinks this is acceptable comfort? Forget about it. The cramped riding position forces taller riders into a stance that feels more suited for a kindergarten chair than a cruiser. And in terms of technology, the Bolt is completely checked out of 2025. No TFT display, no Bluetooth, no modern rider. Aids beyond ABS. Just a basic round gauge that looks like it was ripped straight from a 90s alarm clock. For the same price, you can find bikes with LED lighting, advanced electronics, and way better performance. Yamaha insists on keeping this relic alive, but the market has moved on. If you're shopping for a cruiser in 2025, skip the Bolt, unless you enjoy overpaying for outdated tech and a rough ride. Number 4. Kawasaki Vulcan 900. The Kawasaki Vulcan 900 is a middleweight cruiser that just doesn't add up in 2025. It might still look the part with its classic styling, but when you break down what you're a Number 4. Kawasaki Vulcan 900. The Kawasaki Vulcan 900 is a middleweight cruiser that just doesn't add up in 2025. It might still look the part with its classic styling, but when you break down what you're actually getting for the price, it starts to feel like a bad deal. At around $9,000 new, you're paying big bike money for something that's neither particularly big nor modern. A 900cc V-twin sounds decent on paper, but in a market where most cruisers are packing 1000cc or more, the Vulcan 900 feels underpowered, especially with its outdated 5-speed transmission that leaves you desperately wishing for a 6th gear on the highway. Then there's the lack of tech. Today's riders expect at least some modern features, but the Vulcan 900 refuses to evolve. No traction control, no ride modes, no TFT display. Just an old-school analog speedometer that looks like it belongs in 2005, not 2025. Even something as basic as LED lighting is missing. Meanwhile, competitors are offering Bluetooth, navigation, and rider aids for the same money. And let's talk about weight. At nearly 620 pounds, it's actually heavier than some full-size cruisers, yet it doesn't have the power to back it up. Resale value is another problem. Vulcan 900s depreciates faster than a smartphone. Within a year or two, good luck getting even 60% of what you originally paid. At the end of the day, the Vulcan 900 is outdated, overpriced, and outclassed. If you're spending close to $10,000 on a cruiser in 2025, there are far better choices. That won't have you regretting your decision at every stoplight. Number 3. Harley-Davidson Fat Boy. The Harley-Davidson Fat Boy was once a symbol of American muscle on 2 wheels, but by 2025, it's more of an overpriced relic clinging to nostalgia. Sure, it still has that tough, road-dominating look, but when you break it down, this bike is a financial sinkhole on 2 wheels. With an MSRP creeping past $21,000 before taxes, fees, and dealer markups, you're looking at spending over $25K. Just to own a motorcycle that struggles to keep pace with modern expectations. And depreciation? Harleys don't hold their value like they used to, so within a few years, your shiny new Fat Boy will be worth thousands less. Performance-wise, it's not exactly exciting. The Milwaukee 8-114 engine sounds great, but for a bike weighing over 700 pounds, acceleration is more eventual than thrilling. And the fuel economy? Let's just say it makes you wonder if this thing runs on nostalgia instead of gasoline. In an industry that's pushing lighter, faster, and more efficient machines, the Fat Boy feels like a slow-moving tribute to the past. Then there's the ride quality. The stiff suspension and lack of modern comfort features make long trips more of a workout than an escape. Meanwhile, competitors are offering adaptive suspension, rider aids, and actual comfort without the extra bulk and inflated price tag. And speaking of tech, Harley's infotainment system feels outdated compared to even mid-range motorcycles from rival brands. At the end of the day, the Fat Boy isn't just expensive, it's impractical, uncomfortable, and outclassed. Unless you're absolutely set on owning a piece of Harley history and don't mind overpaying for the privilege, there are far better options out there. Number 2. Indian Scout 60. The Indian Scout 60 was once an entry-level gateway into cruiser life, but by 2025 it feels like a bad investment. It's not just getting older, it's getting outclassed, overpriced, and harder to justify. With a price tag of $11,000, it still lacks features that should be standard at this price point. No ride modes, no traction control, not even a fuel gauge. Meanwhile, other mid-sized cruisers are packing in modern tech, making the Scout 60 feel stuck in the past, except its price keeps climbing. Performance-wise, the 999cc V-twin puts out 78 horsepower, which sounds reasonable until you realize there are bikes half the price offering the same or better. And the ride quality? Let's just say it's not exactly forgiving. The stiff suspension and tiny 3.3-gallon fuel tank mean you'll feel every bump in the road and every gas stop in your wallet. Then there's the comfort issue. Indian calls this a cruiser, but with low handlebars and forward controls, long rides start feeling more like a chiropractor's dream come true. And if you're thinking of reselling it, think again. Used prices are already dropping, and since it's the budget scout, dealers aren't exactly eager to offer strong trade-in values. Buying one might feel like a win today, but when it's time to upgrade, good luck getting a decent deal. If you want an American cruiser, there are smarter choices out there. Options with more power, better features, and a smoother ride. The Scout 60 had its moment, but in 2025, it's just an overpriced nostalgia trip that isn't worth the money. Number 1. Harley-Davidson Street 750. The Harley-Davidson Street 750 was once a stepping stone into the Harley family, but in 2025, it's about as relevant as a flip phone in the age of 5G. Marketed as an affordable, beginner-friendly cruiser, it now struggles to justify its existence. For starters, Harley officially pulled the plug on the Street 750 years ago, which means finding parts and service is becoming a nightmare. Need a quick oil change or a replacement fuel pump? Get ready to dig through eBay or beg your local mechanic to work on a discontinued relic. Then there's the power, or lack of. The Revolution X engine was never exactly impressive, but by today's standards, it feels sluggish. With only 53 horsepower, the Street 750 is slower than most modern middleweights, and that's pretty embarrassing when some scooters could probably take it off the line. And the brakes? Let's just say they barely do their job. The single-disc setup feels like it's on a lunch break when you need it the most, making emergency stops way more stressful than they should be. And what did your money get you back in the day? That didn't even feel like a real Harley. Cheap plastic switches, basic suspension, and an exhaust note that sounded closer to a lawnmower than a legendary V-twin. At the end of the day, the Street 750 was a failed experiment that never really... If you're considering buying one, just don't. There are far better ways to spend your money, like on a bike that won't make you question your life choices every time you hit the throttle. Conclusion. And with that, we've reached the end of the video. If you found this helpful, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more upcoming content. This keeps the style intact while lightly rewording the script. Let me know if you need any tweaks.